Okay, welcome everyone to those joining us. This is Online MCS MCS-DS admissions webinar. We have quite a few registrants today, so we're going to wait a couple minutes before we get started just to make sure we get as many people in as possible. While we wait, we always like to see where everybody is logging in from. So if you want to drop in the chat box where you're logging in from, that'd be great. India, welcome.
Australia,
Chicago.
India. Oh, Austria.
Egypt.
Chicago. So if you're joining us from Chicago, we're very sorry about last night's NFL game.
Okay, for those of you just joining us, you're joining us.
Go back, go.
Oh.
Not getting it into the program. We take everybody, even Packers fans.
For those of you joining us, this is the Online MCS MCS-DS webinar. We have quite a few registrants today. I believe it's in the thousands. We've hit 1,000 registrants, so we're going to try to get as many people in today as possible. So we won't get started for a couple more minutes. But do go ahead and drop where you're joining us from in the chat box if you'd like to.
And we'll answer as many questions as we can during the session, in addition to while on camera.
I feel like we have somebody from every continent about.
Antarctica?
Not quite that one, but you never know.
Well, it's winter there right now, so I don't think there's anybody there.
From Denver. Excellent. This session is going to be recorded, or is being recorded rather, and you will get a link of the recording after the session, probably about 24 hours after the session. And we will be answering questions once we get started, and also we will have a Q&A session after we've gone over the slide deck. So hold your questions, please, until we get started.
And someone did ask, and microphones are muted, but we will show you where to put your questions in the Q&A session once we get going.
That's correct. Thank you, Viveka. Okay, so it is now 12:03. Shall we go ahead and get started?
Great.
Okay, great. Once again, thank you everybody for joining us. This is the Online MCS MCS-DS webinar. We will be going over admissions requirements for the program. We'll go ahead and start off with some introductions, then we'll present some slides that address basic address requirements and FAQs, and then at the end we'll go over questions that you post in the Q&A versus the chat box. So let's go ahead and do a round of quick introductions. Desiree, do you want to start first? And then John and Viveka, and then I'll go.
Okay, sure. Hi, I'm Desiree Marmon. I am one of the academic advisors for the MCS MCS-DS program.
And I'm John Hart. I'm the Director of Online Programs and a professor here at the Computer Science Department.
Hello, I'm Viveka Kudadigam. I'm the Assistant Director for Computer Science Graduate Programs here on campus.
And my name is Christine Martinez, and I'm an academic advisor for this program. So I'm going to go ahead and present my desktop. And everybody see that? Oh, yes?
Yep.
Okay, great. Okay, so once again, this is the Online MCS MCS-DS admissions webinar. We'll go ahead and just get started here, and then John and Viveka, I'll just call out slides if you want to address them. So the first one is basically welcome and thank you for joining us. Today we'll be covering topics in application requirements, and then we'll go over international student application requirements. We'll go over tuition and financial aid. We'll go over the FAQ, application deadlines, and where to find information. So next slide is, what are we looking for? John, would you like to address this one?
You bet. So thanks for your interest in the Master of Computer Science degree that we offer online from the University of Illinois Department of Computer Science. We've offered this degree online since the 90s. We've been offering online education since the 60s, and we invented a good part of online education with the Plato system long before we invented the web browser and the internet and everything else. A lot of stuff in computer science has happened here and at other places as well, but this department has a long history of contributions to computer science, as well as degrees, including the Master of Computer Science. The background that we're looking for this degree is, it's a multidisciplinary degree. In the past, we've seen a lot of students that would get a Master of Computer Science after a Bachelor's Degree in Computer Science. But we're also seeing a growing number of students that are adding a Master of Computer Science on top of a Bachelor's Degree, in sometimes in a computing-related discipline, but sometimes in a non-computing discipline. And so we've tried to structure the application process and the degree requirements to best address all of those cases. The most important thing that we consider when making a decision for admission to the program is that each student that's admitted to this program, that we have a reasonable expectation that they will be able to succeed in the program. We don't want to admit anybody that would be underwater, that would be coming up with having to do assignments in areas that there's, that the student has no background in. We don't want anybody to have to do that. So we're very careful in our considerations for admissions. So the things that we look for in admissions, one is it's a master's degree program. And so you have to have a bachelor's degree in order to get a master's degree. Master's degrees are very focused. Our master's in computer science is 8 classes. And those 8 classes are focused on computer science and related areas of statistics and information science and so on. But they are very focused on the field. A bachelor's degree, you have a major in a bachelor's degree, but you also get a lot of general university coursework in areas that are not related or not directly related to your major. That's not the case for a graduate degree. So the bachelor's degree makes sure you have that breadth, and then the master's degree allows you to focus. That bachelor's degree does not need to be in computer science. It can be in a related area, computer engineering, information systems, and so on, or it can be from a completely unrelated area like history or chemistry or mechanical engineering or medicine, or some students are in pre-med or even have a master's or a doctorate degree in one of these other areas and want to come back and get a master's degree in computer science. But the important thing is that you have a bachelor's degree. We're required to have a GPA of 3.2 or higher, and that GPA is evaluated holistically. We'll look at your GPA for your entire bachelor's degree. We'll look at the GPA for your last 2 years. We'll look at the GPA of your computer science coursework, and we'll also look at any subsequent courses you've taken since your bachelor's degree. And then we make an evaluation based on that. But we have a baseline requirement of 3.2 that we'll evaluate across those metrics. And then the third requirement is prerequisite ability in computer science. We want to make sure everybody has the prerequisite understanding, knowledge of the programming, the skills, and the fundamentals of computer science in order to be able to do graduate level work in computer science in a program offered by a top 5 computer science department. And so all of our courses require data structures. In our course catalog, that is CS 225. It's often taken by our sophomores in our undergraduate computer science discipline. And so everybody that's admitted needs to have some kind of data structures class, preferably in their transcript, so that we can see that it's been graded, has a decent grade, and so on. We also look for algorithms, not theoretical algorithms course, but just a basic programming course that covers the runtime complexity of algorithms. So you know which sorting algorithms you should be using based on data, and what other search algorithms you might be using based on their asymptotic runtime complexity. And then finally, object-oriented design. Your skill at being able to take a production programming language like Java or C++ and being able to write a well-designed program in that. All of those are covered in our CS 225 class, so you can look at the prerequisites for that. I mean, you can look at the specification for that class. They're often covered by many other curriculums in a class that's called data structures, or in a second computer science class. Almost everybody has an introductory computer science class where you learn programming in some language. It might be C, it might be Java, usually it's Python lately, but other classes. It's important that you have that second programming class that's not focused on a particular language or learning how to program, but learning how to program right, learning how to design and think about data structures before the mechanics of just implementing things. So we'll be looking for that. In addition to that, it's important that students have some background coursework and so on in linear algebra and in basic statistics and probability. So when you're filling out the application form, there will be checkboxes for each of these, and there will be an opportunity for you to tell us what your prerequisites are for each of these. It's very important, if you have taken a course in any of these topics, to put the course number, the identifying number. So if it's at University of Illinois, you put CS 225 for CS 225, and then the name of the course, data structures, when you took it. You may have taken it fall of 2012. Put the semester in the year that you took the course, and then put your grade that you got for the course. That's the single one most important thing that you can do on your application that will improve your chance of getting admitted, because it gives us precisely the prerequisite information that we're looking for. If we go looking in your transcript for this information without that guidance, we might miss an important prerequisite course that you've taken that wasn't so clearly outlined in your transcript. So enter those fields very clearly and completely in the application form. Do we have a slide later on about the exam, the entrance exam? Oh, you're muted. You're muted.
No, I haven't added that. I was just going to go ahead and show the website.
Okay.
It's a direct.
Let me just mention, we have many students that have, got a history degree and have been in the software engineering role in industry for 10 or 20 years. That's great. But for many of those students, we don't have something we can point to ensure that those students have learned the fundamental knowledge of a data structures course and algorithms and object-oriented design. So for that, we have a new Coursera specialization sequence called Accelerated CS Fundamentals. And that specialization sequence is designed to prepare you for an MCS, what we're calling an MCS Entrance Exam. It's more of an MCS assessment exam. It makes sure that we can double check the qualifications in data structures, algorithms, and object-oriented design for students that have experience in that area, but don't necessarily have transcripted coursework in that area. In addition to that, you still have to have linear algebra, basic stats and probability, and everything else required in the degree. But that examination can help students that may not have a data structures course specifically in their transcript. And so we'll have more information on that later.
Okay, great.
I think that's everything that we're looking for in new students.
Yep, great. Real quickly, before we move on to the next slide, can everybody please drop your questions in the Q&A area versus the chat. There are a lot of questions coming into the chat box. It's easier for us to answer your questions if it's in the Q&A versus chat box. Vivica and Desiree are both answering questions in the Q&A. So if you want your questions answered, drop them in the Q&A. Otherwise, we're not really paying attention to them in the chat, except that I see them coming in. Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, next slide.
Before we get started, there were a couple of comments that some of the participants cannot see the videos nor hear us. It doesn't seem to be the case for most of the attendees.
I'm not sure. We have there seem to be 6 people who joined via phone, so I don't know if they're calling in, then they will likely not see, or if they dialed in. I'm not sure on that one.
So in any case, it's being recorded, and you can refer people to the video recording if they're having trouble connecting.
Yeah, the session is being recorded, and if you registered, obviously you're here today, and you will get a link of the recording sent to you via email, probably within 24 to 48 hours after the session is done. Okay, great. So next slide goes over application requirements. John or Vivica?
I want to start, and then you can pick up. So the application requirements, one thing that's required for all of our students is an application. And so you're applying for a degree program in the University of Illinois, just like every other student, both for our online programs and our on-campus programs, same application process. I should also mention that goes for the Master of Computer Science and the Master of Computer Science in Data Science. Master of Computer Science in Data Science is just a set of courses, a curriculum of courses that satisfies the Master of Computer Science degree, but focuses on data sciences. So when you apply, you'll still be selecting the Master of Computer Science program. That's a degree program. There's a checkbox that says, you know, you're interested in the MCS-DS, and we can refer to that as we're helping advise you on courses. But everybody in the program is required to meet the Master of Computer Science coursework requirements. And one way of doing that is to take coursework in data sciences, and that leads to what's known as the MCS-DS. So when you apply, there's going to be an application fee that's $70 for domestic students and $90 for international students. And that fee is required for all applications. It really covers the work that has to go into analyzing all the transcripts and processing all the application information. For international students, we have to verify international credentials. For all students, we have to go through and compute GPAs under all of those holistic metrics to make sure that everybody's qualified, and that's how we have to cover that. And that's true both for students online and for students on campus. The admissions criteria are the exact same for our on-campus programs and our online programs. The only difference is that our online programs have the capacity to allow us to offer the opportunity to more students than we can get into our classes on campus. There is an opportunity to submit letters of recommendation. The letters of recommendation are often used for our, we're using the same application that we use, for example, for our Masters of Science and doctoral programs. Those are more research-based, where you would do a thesis. For the MCS, it's coursework only. It's intended for professional preparation. There's no thesis that you would do. You would not have a research advisor. And so we don't look to the letters of recommendation. If you submit a letter of recommendation, we will read it and evaluate it, but it often doesn't really help the application, because the main things we're looking at for the MCS are going to be your bachelor's degree, your GPA, and your prerequisites. But if you want to include a letter of recommendation, you can include up to 3. None are required. No letters of recommendation are required. They usually do not help, but we will refer to them in case they do, but they rarely do. You can include a statement of purpose. Often that describes what you've done to get to this state so far. You can describe some of the courses that you've taken and provide some detail there. So it's always good to have a statement of purpose. But again, we'll be looking at the prerequisites, the GPA and the bachelor's degree primarily, but the statement of purpose helps us to answer any questions we might have on your app. And you can submit a curriculum vitae or a resume. That also helps us look at your employment history and what skills you may have, especially if you don't have a data structures class and are doing the entrance exam instead. And you have to submit these if you are going to be submitting a English proficiency test results. And so I'll turn it over to Viveka in a moment to talk about that. Standardized tests, if you've taken the GRE test or other tests, none of these are required, but if you've taken them and you want to submit them, we will look at them and consider them in the application. But it's another one of those items that rarely helps, but you can include that and we will consider that. Do you want to talk about it?
So let me get back to the CV or the resume for just a minute. Especially for those of you who might be wanting to use your work history as to seek an exemption from language requirements. And this is only for applicants whose previous educational background may be outside countries that do not have English as the first language. If you have worked for companies, global companies, please in your resume let us know where you were located, because that is an important factor in this review. So if you worked for, let's say, IBM, let us know where you were located, and that's one of the pieces of information that we would look for to make sure that we can offer you that waiver from language requirements. And then transcripts. Transcripts are important because these do get looked at very carefully by the admissions group. And at the time of submitting your application, you only need an unofficial set of transcripts. So if you have attended 5 different institutions, you would then list those 5 different institutions and upload unofficial copies of your transcripts. The idea behind this is that you're submitting a full record of your academic history. And for each institution, please upload a complete set of transcripts. And by complete set of transcripts, what we mean is it's for all the semesters that you have taken classes. And there are some applicants who are currently, for example, completing their bachelor's degree. That is fine because you will not have grades for those classes, but your transcript shows us that you're currently taking those classes. So include the current semester if you're continuing in a bachelor's degree. And then the transcripts should show the course title, the number of credit hours that you have earned, either a letter grade or points, marks that you have earned for the classes. In certain countries, for example, if you have gone to school in India, these transcripts are sometimes called mark sheets, and that is fine because that still gives us the same information that we are looking for. The last piece of information in the transcripts is the area in the transcript that shows what the grade scale is used at that institution. So for example, if you've attended school in the US, most institutions now have a 0 to 4.0 GPA scale, and then there is a grade, there's a letter grade distribution across that range. Sometimes you may have gone to school where the scale is a 0 to 100, but then there is again another scale. So this information is sometimes found on the back of each page. Sometimes it is found at the back of the transcript, at the very bottom of the transcript. Sometimes it is shown on each page at the bottom. So please look for that information and include at least one page that shows us the scale, that scale that's used at your institution. Without that, we are unable to really do a full evaluation of your transcript. The very last piece is, after you have scanned your transcripts, please look at them and make sure that you can read them so that we can also read them. And if you cannot read them, you would want to work on it so that you can give us a clear set of transcripts, legible transcripts, and a complete set of transcripts. So at the time of applications, this is only an unofficial transcript. If you are admitted and if you decide to start the program, the graduate college on our campus will require official sets of transcripts. Then that is at enrollment. And if you know that it takes some time to get official transcripts sent from your home institutions, this is something that you would want to plan ahead so that you have those ready if you are admitted, so that you can submit it to the graduate college. There is a little bit of a grace period if you're admitted in that first term, but after that, there are some delays that students may face if the official transcripts are not submitted. I think I covered all the transcript questions.
Okay. Oh, still muted.
Still muted.
Okay, sorry about that. Okay, switching over now to the next slide. There we go. No, there we go.
All right. John, do you want to go?
Yeah. No, go ahead.
So we do have, as we saw earlier, we have participants here today from all over the world. So one of the questions we get is, my degree is XYZ, am I eligible? So the best way that you can check whether your degrees, if they are from outside the US, is to go to this URL that is provided on the slide. And if you're calling in, we will share this information with you. Once you go to this website, you can check for your country, and it lists all the requirements for each country. For example, what degree titles are acceptable, what duration of degree programs are acceptable. So please take a look at your home country if your degree is from outside the US. And for international students, it also shows whether you need English proficiency requirements for admissions. It would say TOEFL or IELTS required or not. And for those students who would need English proficiency scores, again, we have provided the link to to our department's website, which lists the requirements. If you need to submit scores, and if you take TOEFL, if you take the TOEFL IBT, then you need at least 103 or above. And that TOEFL IBT is one of the scores that we see most often from international applicants. We also see IELTS scores, and those have to be, the overall score has to be more than 7.0. So 7.5 and above is for full admission, full status admissions. And if you're using these scores, those scores must be less than 2 years old from the time you start your degree program. So if you're thinking of applying to the spring 2020 semester, you must have taken these tests in after about mid-January of 2018. I'm counting here for 2 years. 2018, 2019, and you will start in 2020. So it's 2 years. The scores have to be less than 2 years old. And if the scores are older than that, ETS will not actually report those scores to the university. We've also given the TOEFL institution code number, which is 1836. If you have an unofficial score report, you can also attach that to the application so that we can see it until the scores are formally submitted. The scores do have to be formally submitted if you're using the scores for admission purposes. And then the exemption waivers. There are two types of waivers that are provided to students who must meet these requirements. One is based on your academic history, and the other one is based on your employment history. So the academic history is fairly straightforward. Either you must have had a degree earned from one of the eligible countries in the last 5 years. So that list of countries can also be found on the graduate college website. For example, if you had a degree here in the US or other countries where English is the primary spoken language, then you will be exempted from providing these requirements. Please keep in mind that it is the first primary language spoken in the country and not what the medium of instruction was in your degree program. We see this question quite often because there are many of our students who have completed their degree programs in English, but they are from countries that do not have English as a primary spoken language. Then the second exemption is based on your employment history. And remember, when we went over the CVs, we talked about making sure to let us know where you were located in your employment history. And we would look at 2 years, the past 2 years, the most recent 2 years of your employment history. And if those are in eligible countries, we will provide you a waiver, but you would need to document that for us. Your employer has to document that for us. And if you're in this situation, you can always contact us and we will let you know the details, but you must be ready to provide that documentation to make use of the waiver. I think, Christine, we can move along to the next slide. Thank you.
Okay, great. Next one is going to cover tuition and financial aid. So who wants to talk about that one?
Yeah. Give me one moment to finish this. Just answering one of the students' questions in the Q&A section, which is the appropriate place to. Okay. So, tuition, I was just answering your question on this. Tuition for the Masters of Computer Science, as well as the MCS-DS track of courses that satisfies the Master of Computer Science, is $670 per credit hour. We have 8 courses in the MCS, and each of those 8 courses is 4 credit hours. So 670 times 4, it's about $2,500 or so per course. And about, it is exactly $21,440 in tuition for the complete 32 credit hour degree. Now, in addition to that tuition, you'll also need to pay things like proctoring fees. So each class you take, you might have about $40 in proctoring fees. And that's kind of like an Uber-like service where the student will hire a proctor, and we set that up. And then pay the proctor directly. And the proctor is a service that comes to your computer and makes sure that when you're taking exams, you're not cheating. And we do that so that all students can be evaluated fairly, and that makes sure that every student that's taking the exam, if you're working hard so that you can pass the exam, you're studying hard to pass that exam, you don't want another student coming in and cheating and not putting in that work. And then somehow passing that exam. So there's proctoring fees, that's about $40 per course of each of those 8 courses. Many of our courses are cloud-based courses, meaning they're not offered on the cloud. They teach you how to utilize the cloud, how to build a cloud computing resource, and how to use a cloud computing resource to code up applications. And so in those cases, you may need to, we will provide some credits to students for using a cloud service like Microsoft Azure or Amazon Web Services. But sometimes students will want to explore further. And so you may want to explore further, and you may want to purchase additional cloud computing resources. Those you would purchase directly from Microsoft or from Amazon. And so that's an additional thing. You may need to buy books for a class, and so that's always an additional fee. But those are the, above that, what you're paying to the University of Illinois is tuition. We've worked out a deal with Coursera so that you do not have to pay MOOC fees. You'll be learning your material from video lessons that have been specifically designed and implemented for the Coursera platform. And these video lessons are offered through what are called private MOOCs. These are MOOC environments specifically designed for 4-credit learning. And so they include the video lessons that you would see ordinarily in a MOOC. They would also include some of the quizzes that you might take in a MOOC. But in addition to that, you would have access through that Coursera platform to things like weekly office hours with the TA and with the instructor. You would have access to Piazza study groups that allows you to ask questions about the class that the TAs, the instructor, or other classmates might help answer quickly. Those Piazza groups are often have the same students in the same class where the students are taking the class online. And so we often have a single Piazza discussion group that has our online students and our on-campus students all helping each other understand the material. And that's worked well. We use the exact same structure for our on-campus groups. You'll have access to other students for quick answers through Slack if you have a quick question about some topic. And so all of those are available, but you don't have to pay any additional fees for any of that. There's no fees for Piazza. There's no fees to Coursera for using the MOOC or anything like that. So it's really just the tuition that you're paying for the program, the proctoring fees, and any cloud computing fees that you want to add to what's provided to you. For financial aid, the Master of Computer Science program, both our program that we offer on campus and the program we offer online, they're all accredited by the same accrediting agency, the HLC, which accredits the University of Illinois overall. They specifically accredited the online Master of Computer Science degree at the same level as everything else. So it's fully accredited, which means it's eligible for financial aid. So you're free to pursue financial aid opportunities from your government or from your employer. And the University of Illinois has links that can help you find financial aid for the degree. For this particular program, though, the Department of Computer Science does not have any specific financial aid available to students in this program. What we have done is if you took these same courses, these exact same courses on campus, it would cost you in tuition about $50,000, $60,000, plus you'd have living costs to move to campus to be able to take these courses, and you'd be missing out on $100,000 to $150,000 in salary if you took time off of your job in order to study on campus full time. So it's what we have done is we've structured this degree program to be very affordable at about $21,500. But because of that, we don't really have any financial aid available to the students for that from the department, but you are eligible from other sources. And then you want to talk about third-party billing?
Third-party, right. So we have several of our students who are sponsored, for example, by their employers. My company, for example, if I were hired at such a company, may pay my tuition bill. Instead of reimbursing me, they can outright pay the bill. So or there are students who may have scholarships that are awarded by other agencies or institutions. If you are in that type of lucky situation, what you can do is work with our financial aid office so that your sponsor, whether it is your employer or a funding agency, is directly billed so that you do not have to be this the middle person to get the bill and pay and be reimbursed. For this type of arrangement, the student does have to initiate the process. They have to sign up and have their sponsor signed up for the program. This makes it very convenient for the student because once you do it, then your sponsor gets billed. You as the student would not have to do anything else. If you're admitted and if you want to look more into this, we can also guide you in the right places to ask. I believe that link will also be available at the end of this website. We just want you to be aware that that is an option for you. If you're getting sponsored, you should be looking into this option so that your sponsor is directly billed.
Anything else to add? Or are you good?
Maybe I would also maybe add that say you are paying out of pocket, there is an option where you can sign up for for a payment plan. So any student who has a bill of $500 or more can sign up for a plan, and if you take one class, it is going to be more than $500. You can sign up to pay your semester's tuition bill in 3 or 4 installments. So that also makes it convenient for students to plan out their financial obligations. If you sign up early in the semester or before the semester starts, you can distribute your tuition bill over the term. It's also an option for students who are paying out of pocket.
Okay.
We can move on from this.
Okay. The next few slides are going to go over the FAQ. So we've already kind of gone over these, but these are questions that we get frequently. So I will just call them out, and John or Vivica, if you want to address them. The first one is, what is the Online MCS?
The Online MCS is the MCS. If you are admitted to the MCS, you've been admitted with the same requirements that we require of our on-campus MCS. Often students in our on-campus MCS have higher GPAs and more experience with computer science because we have limited seats, and we can't admit all of the good students that apply to our on-campus MCS. And we currently have the resources to be able to do that for Online MCS. So Online MCS provides students with a greater educational opportunity. We're able to meet our educational, provide that educational opportunity to more students through the Online MCS. With that said, it's the same courses. The courses are delivered in a different format, a different mode of instruction, but all the courses in the Online MCS meet the same requirements as our on-campus courses, same expectations from students. And so when they appear in your transcripts, they just appear as the course. It doesn't say online. When you get the degree, it just says Master of Computer Science. It does not say Online Master of Computer Science, because the degree program is satisfied by our on-campus coursework, but it's also satisfied to the same extent from our online coursework. And so the Online MCS is an MCS. It's just a different delivery mode option.
Great. Next one, what is the MCS-DS?
Great. So as I mentioned before, the MCS-DS is an informal name for students that satisfy the Master of Computer Science degree program using courses in data structures. So Master of Computer Science, the degree program, requires that you have 4 breadth areas. So it's all coursework based, and so you have to have 4 courses each from a different area of computer science. And so those areas might be architecture, they might be database, they might be artificial intelligence, they might be HCI, they might be scientific computing. And so you can pick those 4 areas. For our students in the MCS-DS curriculum, they're fulfilling those 4 areas in the area of machine learning, which satisfies the AI breadth area. They're satisfying a database area using data mining coursework, so a course from data mining. They're satisfying HCI, the area we now call interactive computing, with a course on data visualization. And then they're satisfying our systems and networking area with a course on cloud computing. And so it's those 4 key areas that cross 4 broad areas of computer science, doing so with data science coursework in the key areas of data visualization, machine learning, data mining, and cloud computing. And in addition to that, there's other courses that you can take at the 500 level that also provide additional focuses on the statistics behind data science, and also the information science, data curation and data cleaning that are important aspects of data science. And so students that complete the MCS-DS, you will just get a Master of Computer Science degree, but students often listed on their resumes or on their curriculum vitae as MCS-DS. And employers know what the MCS-DS is. We have employers that are paying students their salary, giving them a bonus, and paying tuition for students to get the MCS-DS. They know what it means, and so even though it's not an official degree, if you list it there, your employer will know what it means.
Okay, next question. What will appear on the diploma or transcript?
Master of Computer Science from the College of Engineering at the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign.
Perfect. How is the Online MCS offered using the Coursera MOOC platform?
That's a really good question. So many of our courses have corresponding MOOCs available to the general public. And so you can take those now, you can get an idea of what the lectures are like, take a look at the format. What you're doing when you take a Coursera MOOC, such as Cloud Computing Concepts 1 and 2, or my data visualization one. I have a MOOC on the data, that's half of the data visualization course. You can take those on the platform, and you'll get the same lectures that that students in the degree program are getting. And it's very similar to coming on campus and sitting in for a class. And so you can just kind of sit in on a class, audit a class, and that gives you the benefit of learning the material, seeing the lectures, doing any classroom assignments that might be graded by your neighboring student, but doesn't provide you with things that are important to earning for us to be able to confer degree credit, transcriptable credit for that class. And that is things like comprehensive examinations, course projects, staff graded coursework, and for us to be able to provide office hours with teaching assistants and the instructor to help you get through some of these more difficult assignments. Those are not available to the general public, and those are only available to degree students. And so the lecture portion for our for the 4 credit courses in our degree program, the lectures are about 2 MOOCs of material. But in addition to that, you've got the exams, the class projects, office hours, and other work that you would have to do to get credit.
Okay, great. Let's see. How are online MCS courses different than typical Coursera MOOC courses?
Right. The Coursera MOOC course is designed if you want to learn a topic. You'll get the video lessons, maybe some quizzes, maybe do some classroom style projects. So you'll get that level of learning, but you won't get proctored comprehensive examinations. You won't get guidance directly from the instructor and the TAs. You won't have conversations with fellow students studying in a master's program. And you won't be doing the additional deeper course, what we call machine problems. This is how old computer science is here. Our programming assignments were called machine problems. We have a digital computer science lab, a digital computing lab building that was built specifically because before that we had an analog computing laboratory. So computer science is quite well established here. And so things like machine problems, where you deep dive into programming projects that are very intense, are something that you would do in these online MCS courses that are degree 4 credit courses that you don't necessarily get in a Coursera MOOC course.
Okay. Do the 2 Coursera MOOC courses and 4 credit portion need to be taken concurrently?
Not at all. In fact, we recommend you don't take the general public MOOC version of the courses. Some students will do the general public MOOC version of a course. Usually each of our 4 credit courses, there's 2 corresponding general public MOOC courses. So you can take both of those. And sometimes some of the classroom exercise work that you do in those MOOC courses can be transferred in, but in many times it won't be. Any work you've done for those MOOC courses, you can keep and then re-hand in if it becomes used in the 4 credit portion. But there's much more in the 4 credit portion. But more importantly, the 4 credit, these courses have been designed with learning objectives and careful pedagogical analysis of how the students will be learning the material. And we've tried to optimize that. And so the best learning experience you would have is to just take the 4 credit portion. So the only reason I would recommend taking the general public MOOC version of a portion of a course would be if you want to do it as a preview to the course to see what's going to be covered, to see if you can keep up with the material, and so on, just to kind of dip your toe in the area. But if you're gonna learn something, you should learn it in the best fashion possible, and we can do that best for you by having you take the 4-credit course directly.
Okay, moving on. Next question. I completed a Coursera specialization. Will I earn graduate credit at the University of Illinois?
Yeah, and the answer is no. We do offer completion certificates for Coursera specializations. They're offered by the computer science department, and you do receive a certificate of completion. But what you're completing is kind of an audit experience of those courses, and not the detailed, in-depth 4-credit learning that you would get from completing them as part of the degree program.
Okay. Are students expected to be proficient in a particular programming language?
There's no specific expectation, but it's good if all of our students have some experience with a production software engineering language like C++ or Java. Almost everybody knows Python and a scripting level language. It's good to come in with some knowledge and experience and skills with a compiled language like C++ or Java, along with the development environment and the use of a debugger. We teach that in, for example, our CS 241 class, which is a computing systems class. And that's, some of the knowledge we expect, students admitted to the program to have.
Okay. How do students apply for the Online MCS or MCS-DS? Great.
You click the apply button on the, if you go to any number of pages, is there a favorite page you want to send them to?
We could go into the cs.illinois.edu, admissions graduate. That button should be there.
Yep.
There
or here it is. Apply now.
Just go to cs.illinois.edu/MCSDS. That will also get you there.
Okay, great. What if my undergraduate GPA is less than a 3.0?
Yeah. If you have a low undergraduate GPA, we'll be looking at your total GPA for your bachelor's degree. We'll be looking at the GPA for your last 2 years. We'll be looking at the GPA of your computer science coursework. We'll also be looking at your grades from any subsequent coursework you took after your bachelor's degree. So we'll look at all of that, but our baseline standard is 3.2. And so we'll be looking across all of those metrics. If your GPA is really low, it's often helpful to take some advanced coursework from a local college if it's available to you, because that'll be transcripted and graded, and we can also incorporate that into our holistic evaluation of the application.
Great. Next question: do international students in these programs receive an I-20?
So this program is a fully online program. 100%, there is no requirement to come on campus to complete the degree requirements. Of course, you're welcome when you're ready to graduate to come participate in the commencement activities. But because the coursework does not require a student to be on campus, the university does not provide I-20 documents for international students in any of the online programs offered on campus, unless they are required to be here on campus for some part of the program. So no, there will be no I-20, which also means if you're asking this question, there will be no OPT options, optional practical training options. Students who are graduating from this program who are interested in perhaps looking for employment opportunities in the US would need to seek other types of visa categories to be here and work. For example, the H-1B visa options, but those are outside the university's jurisdiction and control, and is up to an employer to offer you that option. But you are graduating with a Master of Computer Science degree from the University of Illinois, and that can open doors for you.
Great. Okay, the last few FAQs. Will non-degree graduate students be able to take online MCS courses?
Yes. So we do offer online MCS courses for non-degree students. If you don't want a full MCS degree, but you want to take the coursework, you can apply to be a non-degree student and just take a few courses. You can later apply those courses towards an MCS if you decide to apply for the MCS. The admissions criteria for our non-degree program is identical to our MCS course. So it's not any easier to get into the non-degree program. Also, once you get 8 courses, you'll get an MCS degree whether you want one or not, and then we will switch you over into the non-degree program. We'll let you know how to do that so you can take additional courses. We have many students that finish their 8 courses and want more courses, and so they can continue to take courses. You can become a lifelong learner with the University of Illinois and keep up with the state of the art as we roll out new courses and new exciting fields.
Great. Is financial aid available for online MCS students?
Yes, the online MCS program, just like all of our programs, is accredited, fully accredited at the same level and eligible for federal financial aid and other financial aid options that are available to you. The Department of Computer Science does not have anything available for students in terms of financial aid. What we have done is reinvested into the program to keep the tuition low.
Great. When will the applications for the next admission cycle open?
The applications are now open for spring semester, and the applications close on October 15th for the spring term. And those are the deadlines for all 3 terms. This information is also again available on our website. You can always go check it out. If anything changes, that website is the one that will be first updated, but these dates are safe.
Perfect. And then the last slide is where to find information. So we've gone over these links during this webinar, but here are the URLs for where you can find information, the application, the program websites, requirements by country, TOEFL requirements, TOEFL and IELTS requirements, application deadlines, and if you have remaining questions, you can email us at mcs@cs.illinois.edu. There are more than several. There are 112 open questions left, and we have 3 minutes left in the session, so I guess we'll try to get as many as possible.
111 questions.
111, okay, let's see.
We're answering like mad here.
I know, and
you want to read some off?
Yes, let me read some off. If I have an MS degree in other fields than CS or DS, can I still apply for this as a second MS?
Yes, you can. You can get multiple master's degrees. You cannot get 2 master's degrees in the same subject. So if you have a master's degree in English or in mechanical engineering, then yes. If you have a master's degree in electrical engineering, yes. If you have a master's degree in computer engineering, then probably not. And certainly if you have a master's degree in computer science or in network systems or software engineering and so on, then probably not. If you have a master's degree that is similar to the MCS, you can be admitted as a non-degree student. And if you complete the 8 courses, we can confer a master's certificate. I believe it's a master's certificate in data science. And that's often a good option to add on to your existing master's degree in a computer science field. You can add on to that data science credential on top of that, but it's not a new degree, it's a certificate.
Okay, great. Next question, this is a good one. What would you say is the percentage of non-CS students in your typical incoming class versus non-CS students, and are they evenly distributed?
Yeah, they are. Have we tracked that?
We have not
tracked
it. So it's anecdotal, but we do see a distribution.
Maybe a third of our students don't have a CS bachelor's degree. I can tell you what it is for our on-campus program. I think our on-campus program is 0.
It's almost zero. Yeah. And then if it is not a computer science degree, then it is more likely it's a computer engineering degree.
Yes.
Okay, great. Let's see, how many classes?
Do you want to say anything about the survey?
Oh yeah, so the survey, there is a poll up. It looks like most people are completing it. And we're just curious to see what your intentions are for applying to the degree. So if you want to participate, that would be appreciated. If not, that's also fine. And then for those of you who are might still have some questions, we would reach out to you to see if we could answer those remaining questions for you. Let's see, here's another question. How many classes are required and when are they offered? Are some only offered in the spring or some only offered in the fall, etc.?
What was the question again?
How many classes are required and when are they typically offered? Or how
so we offer every class in our curriculum that's available for the online curriculum. Every class is offered at least once per year. And 8 classes are required to get the degree.
Okay, great.
And so, yeah, one of the first things you do when you're admitted is to, you can see the schedule where we offer these classes, just figure out, when you're going to take which class. Most of our students take 1 class a semester and they're done in 8 semesters, about 2.5 years. You can finish the degree in as little as 1 year. You can finish the degree in a 12-month year. But for most students, we'll take between 1 and 2 classes per year. Each class will require about 10 to 12 hours of time. So, a full-time student, that would be 3 classes, would be 36 hours a week of work. And so most students will take 1 or 2 classes. 1 class, that's an extra 12 hours of work that you'll need to do in a week. If you're doing that on top of a job or taking care of a family or anything else, that could be quite an investment. So certainly even for new students, we recommend starting with maybe 1 class as a better tactic than starting with multiple classes to make sure you understand the workload.
Okay, great. So we are at the end of the session. There are still a lot of open questions in the Q&A. If you would like to send your question to mcs@cs.illinois.edu, we are happy to answer them via email. Thank you everyone for joining us today. Thank you for those who participated in the poll. Thanks John and Vivica and Desiree, and I will see you on the other side.
Thank you.
Bye-bye everyone.